Look at them. Thousands. Moving together like a single heartbeat. Perfect synchronization. Perfect order. Perfect emptiness. They are not starving. They are not freezing. They are not dying. That's what makes this so dangerous. Because the most dangerous cage in the world is the one that doesn't feel like a cage at all. Every morning, the same awakening. Every day, the same direction. From the nest to the water. From the water back to the nest. No confusion, no deviation, no questions. A perfect system of survival. And survival is the enemy of living. Watch their faces. Do you see joy? Do you see purpose? Or do you see something else? The quiet erosion of a soul that stopped asking why. This is what comfort looks like when it calculates your entire existence. A place where nothing hurts and nothing burns. Where nothing breaks and nothing builds. Where nothing ends and nothing begins. Most will live here forever, die here, never knowing there was another option. Not because they were prisoners, but because leaving would require something they've forgotten how to access. The courage to want more than safety. But then, in every generation, in every crowd, in every system that mistakes survival for purpose, one wakes up. He doesn't look different, not yet. He moves when they move. He eats when they eat. He follows the ancient path carved into the ice by a million footsteps before his. From the outside, he is indistinguishable from the masses. But something has shifted. Not around him, inside him. It starts small, so small that even he doesn't recognize it at first. A pause that lasts half a second longer than it should. A glance toward the horizon while others stare at the ground. A thought that arrives uninvited. Is this all there is? This place works. That's the first thing you need to understand. No chaos, no disorder, no wasted energy. Every action has been optimized across generations. When the sun rises, the colony wakes, not one by one, but as a single consciousness. Thousands of bodies moving in predetermined patterns. There is no debate about where to go. The path was decided long before they were born. The ocean waits exactly where it has always waited. Food is there, safety is there. Everything you need to not die is there. No one needs to explore. No one needs to think. No one needs to dream. The answers were discovered centuries ago. Survival has been perfected. Here, you don't have to make difficult choices. You don't have to face uncertainty. You don't have to carry the weight of your own direction. The system rewards obedience with predictability. Stay with the group, and you will be protected. Move with the group, and you will be fed. Follow the rhythm, and nothing unexpected will shatter your world. This is the unspoken promise of the colony. Safety in numbers, warmth in repetition, belonging without effort, acceptance without individuality. No one is left behind. No one stands out. And that's exactly the problem. From the outside, this looks like harmony. From the inside, it feels like slow suffocation. But suffocation's so gradual, you forget what it feels like to breathe deeply. A life where the hardest choices have already been made for you. Most would call this success. Most would call this winning. Most would call this living. But what if it's not? Nothing ever goes wrong here. That's what makes it impossible to explain to anyone who hasn't felt it. There are no alarms, no catastrophes, no moment where someone stands up and declares, "This system is broken." The colony survives every storm the same way it survived the last one. The cold comes, the cold leaves. The pattern holds. Life continues. And yet, something begins to die. Not hunger, not fear. Consciousness. When every path is already marked, no one looks at the horizon. When every answer is already known, no one asks new questions. When every tomorrow is a carbon copy of today, time stops feeling real. Years pass, but they don't register. Decades blur together until life becomes one long, uninterrupted loop, a GIF that plays forever but goes nowhere. Here, you don't fail, but you also don't choose. You don't get lost, but you never arrive anywhere new. You don't experience pain, but you also don't experience transformation. There is comfort in that. Deep, reliable, numbing comfort. But comfort has a price no one mentions in the brochure. The price is this. Nothing belongs to you. Not the direction you walk, not the life you live, not the dreams you never had time to imagine, not even the fear you're too comfortable to feel. Individual desire dissolves into collective motion. Curiosity fades, not because it's punished, but because it's unnecessary. And unnecessary things don't survive long in a system optimized for efficiency. This is how the colony maintains its order. Not with violence, not with chains, not with threats, but by making difference irrelevant, by making meaning optional, by making you disappear. You can live your entire life here without ever feeling pain, without ever feeling danger, without ever feeling rejection, and without ever discovering who you might have been if the path hadn't already been chosen. Most will never notice this loss because nothing was taken from them suddenly. It was given away slowly, willingly, one small compromise at a time, one maybe tomorrow at a time, one be realistic at a time. And that's why this place is so powerful. It doesn't feel like a prison. It feels like home. It happens in an instant that's been building for a lifetime. While the colony flows forward, he pauses, not dramatically, not with fanfare, just stops. Step, 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 no step. And in that moment of stillness, in that fraction of a second between motion and decision, everything changes. For the first time, he feels the rhythm instead of being carried by it. He becomes aware of the pattern, the sameness of it, the safety of it, the prison of it. And once you see the bars, you can never unsee them. He starts to notice things the others don't. How no one ever looks up. How the horizon exists, but is ignored. How the mountains stand there, silent, distant, and irrelevant, year after year after year. Not forbidden, just meaningless. The colony doesn't warn against them. It doesn't need to. There is simply no reason to go there. And that's when the question arrives. The question that changes everything. What if this isn't all there is? It's not anger. It's not rebellion. It's not ingratitude. It's awareness. The sudden, crushing realization that survival has become automatic and life has become optional. That he's been breathing, but not living. Moving, but not going anywhere. Existing, but not mattering. He doesn't leave yet. He doesn't turn back yet. He just stands there long enough to feel the weight of two futures: the certainty of staying, the uncertainty of going. And for the first time in his life, the safety of the colony doesn't feel like protection. It feels like a ceiling, a sky he'll never touch if he doesn't move. The moment doesn't announce itself. There's no thunder, no voice from the sky, no sign telling him what to do. The colony keeps moving, thousands of bodies flowing toward the water, toward food, warmth, and everything rational beings are supposed to want. And in that current of certainty, he stops, just for a breath, long enough to feel the pull of the pattern, and long enough to resist it. This is the first real choice he's ever made. Not between right and wrong, not between smart and stupid, but between motion and meaning. He looks toward the ocean. Safety, food, the known path, everything evolution designed him to choose. Then he looks the other way, toward the mountains, toward nothing familiar, no footprints, no guarantees, no roadmap to success, only ice stretching into forever. The mountains don't call to him, they don't promise anything, they don't offer answers, they just exist. And somehow, that's enough. Slowly, deliberately, he turns his back on the water, not in anger, not in defiance, but in clarity. One step breaks the rhythm, a second step breaks the pattern, a third step breaks the spell. Behind him, the colony continues, unaware, unaffected, unchanged. No one notices he's gone, and that's when it becomes real. Leaving doesn't feel heroic. It doesn't feel brave. It feels quiet, heavy, final. There is no applause for walking away from comfort, no standing ovation for choosing uncertainty, no medals for rejecting safety. Just the sound of his own footsteps, crunching against ice, moving against the flow of everything he's ever known. This is where the real journey begins. Not when he thought about leaving, not when he dreamed of something different, but when he moved. It doesn't take long before he's noticed a shape moving against nature, a body cutting through the current of common sense, an anomaly in the system. From above, the observers see him, the scientists, the ones who think they understand. They don't see courage, they don't see purpose, they don't see transformation. They see an error, a penguin walking away from food, away from his species, away from survival. They use words like confused, disoriented, lost, broken. They say he doesn't understand what he's doing. And maybe that's true, at least by their definition of understanding. So they intervene, because this is what the world does when you step outside the acceptable path. Hands lift him from the ice, carry him back to safety, place him gently among the others, back where he belongs, back into the rhythm, back into the system that works. For a moment, everything looks normal again. The pattern restored, the error corrected. The world makes sense once more. But then, no hesitation, no gratitude, no second thoughts. He steps out of the group and starts walking again, toward the ice, toward the mountains, toward what makes no logical sense to anyone watching. They catch him again. They try again, each time with more certainty that they are helping, that they are saving him. And each time he makes the same choice. Turn, walk, disappear toward the horizon. This is the judgment arrives. Insane, suicidal, broken. Because when you refuse the obvious solution, when you reject what everyone agrees is right, people stop asking why and start deciding what's wrong with you. The irony is devastating. They think they're saving his life. They don't realize they're trying to save him from his own choice, from his own path, from his own truth. Eventually, they stop following. Not because they understand, not because they agree, but because they can't. There is a limit to how far concern will go when it stops making sense to the concerned. And so, he is alone. No crowd noise, no movement beside him, no rhythm to lean on, no one to share the doubt. Just wind, ice, distance. Silence so loud it screams. Every step forward feels heavier than the last, not because the path is physically difficult, but because there is no one to witness it, no one to validate it, no one to tell him he's doing the right thing. There are no trail markers here, no signs saying, "You're on the right path," no proof this leads anywhere at all. Only the decision, repeated, again and again and again. The cold doesn't care why he's walking. The mountains don't reward courage. The ice doesn't applaud independence. The landscape offers no reassurance. This is the part no one sees, not the dramatic turn, not the rebellious moment. The endurance. The long, brutal stretch where motivation dies and only intention remains. Where inspiration fades and only commitment survives. Where comfort is gone, but meaning hasn't arrived yet. You're just walking through the emptiness, through the doubt, through the voice that whispers, maybe they were right. Maybe you should go back. Maybe safety was enough. Days blur together again, but this time they don't disappear painlessly. Each one costs something. Each one demands a choice. Each one asks the question, is this worth it? There is fear here, real, bone-deep fear. Not of the cold, not of death, but of insignificance. Of walking all this way for nothing. Of turning back and realizing the colony still feels wrong. Of discovering that the real danger wasn't the ice, but staying the same. This is what it means to walk without permission, without approval, without guarantee. No audience, no cheerleaders, no one telling you you're doing the right thing. Just you, and the path you chose, and the terrifying freedom of owning your own direction. From the outside, it looks like failure. A single penguin moving deeper into nothing. 5,000 kilometers of ice ahead. No food, no shelter, no logical reason to continue. The scientists say it out loud now. He won't survive. They point to the data, the temperatures, the biological limits, the mathematical certainty of his demise. By every measurable standard, they're right. No creature is built for this. No system supports it. No outcome justifies it. And yet, he keeps walking. Because what they call death is not the thing he's running from. He already saw death. It was warm, it was organized, it was safe. It had routines instead of risks, repetition instead of direction, certainty instead of meaning, comfort instead of consciousness. The colony wasn't keeping him alive. It was keeping him unchanged, keeping him small, keeping him safe from the one thing that makes life worth living. the terrifying responsibility of being fully alive. And to him, that was the real death. The death no one sees. The death no one mourns. The death of everything you could have been, buried under the weight of everything you were supposed to be. Out here, nothing is guaranteed. Every step could be the last. The ice might kill him. The cold might claim him. The distance might defeat him. But at least it will be his defeat, his journey, his choice. No pattern carries him forward anymore. No crowd absorbs the responsibility. No system decides his direction. For the first time in his entire existence, his life is not automatic. It is intentional. And that changes everything. Most never leave the colony, not because they can't, but because they never question why they're there. They call it stability. They call it responsibility. They call it being realistic. They call it growing up. And for them, maybe it works. Maybe the pattern is enough. Maybe safety is the highest achievement. Maybe survival is the point. But what if it's not? If you're watching this, if something inside you resonates with this story, if you've ever felt the weight of the pattern, if you've ever looked at the mountains and wondered, understand this: nothing is wrong with you. You're not broken. You're not ungrateful. You're not confused. You're not asking for too much. You've just reached the point where survival isn't enough anymore, where safety feels like slow death, where comfort feels like quiet surrender, where the path everyone says is right feels wrong in your bones. The world will try to explain it away. They'll say you're being dramatic. They'll tell you to be patient, to be reasonable, to be grateful for what you have. They'll remind you of the risks, the uncertainty, the foolishness of leaving safety for possibility. They might even try to save you, pull you back toward the water, remind you how warm it is there, how predictable, how easy. Let them. They're speaking from a place that works for them, from a life that makes sense to them. And that's okay. But you are not obligated to die quietly just because others are comfortable. Walking into the mountains doesn't mean you hate the colony. It doesn't mean you think you're better. It doesn't mean everyone else is wrong. It means you refuse to disappear inside a system that never asked who you are. It means choosing a hard path over an empty one. It means saying, I would rather fail at being myself than succeed at being everyone else. No one can promise you success out there. No one can guarantee you'll arrive. No one can tell you it will be worth it. The ice is real. The cold is real. The isolation is real. The doubt is real. But so is this. If you stay only because it's safe, if you never turn toward the mountains, if you never take that first step against the current, you'll spend your entire life wondering who you could have been, what you might have discovered, where your own path might have led. And that is a death worse than any the ice could offer. So don't look back at the water, not because it's wrong, but because it's finished with you. Don't ask for permission to leave. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't expect anyone to understand. Just turn. Just step. Just walk.